You've completed the feasibility study last year. You've got a pilot plant. And what's the stage of the pilot plant at the moment?
Well, we're going to be commissioning it shortly. So it's ready. It's already been built. We've been operating pilot ponds, evaporation ponds, for the last, almost 14 months now. And we're almost on the cusp of commissioning the plant when the situation obviously got out of hand with COVID. And so we kind of delayed it now until the whole thing comes down, and probably in the next few weeks we'll launch it.
Okay, well, can we talk about all the moving parts, if you may? So you've obviously got the ponds have been operating fine. You haven't commissioned the pilot plant yet, which basically means get it up and running. So it's been built, but you now need to kind of ramp it up. So that's been slightly delayed. Where are you with regards to the conversations with the province and at federal level with licenses, permits, and so forth? Because that's usually the long pole in the tent.
Yeah, so look, Matt, we're very advanced in that regard as well. So the few aspects to this. First of all, we obviously finished the feasibility studies, as I mentioned. Now, the key thing about the feasibility studies, maybe I should mention here, is that it was based on traditional evaporation route. So that means that you use evaporation ponds, you use the processing plant at the end. And this is a proven process, proven by 3 out of 4 operators in Chile and Argentina. Now, once we're finished with the feasibility study, and then, by the way, this is going to produce about 24,000 tons of lithium carbonate of battery grade per year. So it's a large project for 40 years. So it's also a very long mine life here. Now, in terms of actual relationships and all the permitting, et cetera, with different branches of Argentinian government, now, first of all, we needed to get what we call fiscal stability program. So that agreement with the government of Argentina, that is an agreement with both the federal and provincial authorities, basically fixes all our fiscal obligations as of the time of that application. So that was done late last year. So that means your royalties, your taxes, both corporate taxes at provincial level, federal level, et cetera, they're all fixed as of that time. So it cannot be changed retroactively.
Why did you do that?
Well, we did it for 2 reasons. That was something that we're planning to do from the beginning, but we did it actually earlier than we had anticipated, primarily because of the macroeconomic instability in Argentina. So we actually launched that process much earlier on than people would normally do, meaning we started it way before the feasibility study was completed. And as you probably might know, the situation has not been very stable there. And then, of course, the new president got elected, although he's being very vociferously supportive of the mining sector. But obviously, generally speaking, the economic situation has not been very rosy there. Hence, we rushed that process and we got it all done late last year so that, we're guaranteed that we will be handling just those tax and royalties, will not have any kind of, negative surprise down the road. So that was a very important part. Now, in terms of mining permit per se, obviously the key document there is environmental impact assessment report, which was again completed and filed with the government early last year. And we were expecting to receive the approval of it actually earlier this year as well. Again, things got a little bit delayed primarily because of the presidential elections, because it wasn't just the federal level, there were also elections in Salta. So we had some change at the ministerial level as well. However, the new minister is fully supportive. We basically expect that to be signed momentarily. Then, of course, we had this shutdown and lockdown situation in Argentina, including Salta. But regardless of that, people are still working on it. So we expect that to be finalized in the next few weeks. So that will be another key, I would say, milestone before we get a full mining permit to proceed.
Okay, so relations are good because obviously I think you've got not only government, but they also had elections at the provincial level as well, did they not?
Yeah, exactly. So they had the new president at the provincial level. So in other words, Salta had a new president too. And with the new president, obviously, quite a few ministers change. But, the good thing about Salta is that for the last, almost 10, 15 years now, they, all the successive governments have been very supportive of mining. So this government, this new incoming administration is no different. And that is very important for us because, if it happens, obviously, then there's a tremendous disruption for a lot of mining companies operating there, especially when you're at such a critical juncture when we're supposed to get, obviously, the AIR approval and then go into market to raise all the funding.
Okay, so there's no kind of red flags around the permitting or licensing in terms of hold-ups that you can foresee, because those are the things which spook institutions when you're going and having those conversations, obviously. So you feel comfortable about that, as you can.
Very much so. And again, it's both, how should I say, first-hand experience with the government, including the new administration that came in. But also, if you look at actual statistics, if you look at, the basically rating of Salta as a mining jurisdiction, Matt, you will see that they have been ranking high up among not only other Argentinian provinces, but also the entire region. So that's why we feel comfortable and quite confident that this will be done without any major hiccups or delays.
Okay, and you may or may not have started some of those conversations, because it's been a sort of fairly turbulent time in the last 3 years in lithium, and the reason I want to discuss this is because when we were looking in Argentina back 2012, 13, people were very nervous, obviously, about the regime back then. Things have changed, but has the mentality changed in that time frame? Should people feel comfortable with Argentina again as an investment jurisdiction?
It's a great question, Matt. It really depends on what sector you're going into. Obviously, we're talking about mining sector here. And when you look at mining per se, you really have to look at each province separately. I mean, the mining jurisdiction in the country resides at the provincial level versus the federal level. So it's kind of difficult to make, a wide swiping kind of conclusion as to, whether it has become a better jurisdiction or not. But if you look at each province, for example, we take Salta, then Salta has been a very good mining jurisdiction for almost 2 decades now. And it continues in the same vein. And the same probably applies to some other provinces within Argentina. If you look at the country as a whole, meaning if you look at the economic situation of the country, or as an investment destination, or as a destination for FDI specifically, it has been a little bit choppy, to say the least, in the last 7 to 10 years. The previous president has been obviously very pro-business. He's instituted a lot of reforms and has changed a lot of things around. The new government is a little bit left of the center. And so there have been quite a few questions about what kind of policies they're going to be introducing, what they will be doing, etc. Now, what I want to really focus on here is what they have been saying so far. As you know, the elections took place in late October. So the president really didn't start working until basically early this year. And so far they've been making, I would say, very positive statements about both energy and mining sectors. They realize that these are the key sectors driving the economy. They understand that these are 2 major sectors that will attract foreign direct investment. So they want to keep them healthy. They want to make sure that the conditions and the terms under which this investments may flow into the country are very favorable. Now, they haven't really done anything tangible, meaning they have not introduced any new reform or any new policy or any kind of a new program. These have been mostly statements made by the president, his allies, his ministers, and so forth. So we're waiting for any kind of real action on their part. But to be completely honest with you, Matt, even if they don't do anything specifically in Salta, we'll still be happy because there's strong support for the sector. One thing that I think most of the mining companies expect to see is, of course, some kind of relaxation of the rules and all the restrictions imposed on fiscal situation, meaning on the fiscal conditions in terms of currency exchange rules, repatriation of capital, and so forth. So in that regard, again, they've been making right noises and talking about the need to specifically lift those restrictions imposed on the mining sector. So we're very hopeful and confident that reasonable heads will prevail. And so far, again, the president has been very, I would say, clear and very transparent about his intentions as far as mining and energy sectors are concerned.
That's great. I guess what I'm getting to is having gone through the process of agreeing a fiscal stability agreement and putting that in place. There's no way they can renege on that.